I'm here to celebrate today those stupid things we do. I'm talking about those silly, embarrassing, frustrating things that when they happen, they're exasperating, but afterwards, you just have to laugh. For instance, at my wedding reception, my best man, Michael, stood up to give a toast. Everybody in the room was laughing. But what Michael and I didn't realize is they were laughing for a different reason. They were laughing because Michael delivered the entire toast with his zipper down. So the joke was on us. Then there's my friend Nelson. One night, he's driving in his car, and as he enters an intersection, the light turns yellow. So he steps on the gas and he speeds up. He looks in the rearview mirror, there's a cop car behind him. He hits the brakes, and he stops underneath the traffic light. He puts the car in reverse, he backs up, and he sits there nervously waiting for the light to change with the cop car right behind him. So when the light turns green, he hits the gas and he lurches backward. He forgot the car was still in reverse. Now he didn't hit the cop car, he just nervously put the car in drive and drove away. Now when he told me this, I said, "Nelson, how did you avoid getting a ticket?" He said, "Well, I looked in the rearview mirror. The cops were laughing so hard they were falling over." So sometimes doing something stupid can work out. Now, it may surprise you to know that I myself have done some stupid things. It may not surprise you to know that I have done some extremely stupid things. Sometimes I even embarrass my wife. More than sometimes. So one day we're walking around Manhattan and we go into this store. There are all these people shopping all over the store, loud music playing. And we went up to the second floor. There was this balcony overhanging the whole store. And I was drawn to this audio equipment setup. So I walked over, I said, "Carol, this is one of those newfangled music machines." I walked over, and as I said that, I pressed the stop button. All of a sudden, the entire store went real quiet. Everybody stopped what they were doing. They looked around, dazed and confused. Out of nowhere, this clerk appeared. He came running over to me and said, "You see this sign? It says, 'Do not touch.'" I felt like an idiot. My wife just rolled her eyes, shook her head, and walked away. She got used to that. And then there was the microwave incident at work. See, in Manhattan, sometimes you have to put on your heavy coat, go down 50 floors, walk a few blocks just to get a sandwich. But when you get back to the office, the sandwich is cold. So I walked into the lunchroom, I popped it into the microwave, I hit the button, and I turned around to talk to my colleagues. Now I was trying to tell them a story, but they kept interrupting me. I said, "You know, you're very rude." They said, "Well, pardon us, but you've just started a fire." I turned around, there was a fire in the microwave. Now how was I to know that the paper the sandwich was wrapped in had metal inside? So every time they saw me, I heard, "Uh-oh, fire alert, Cretella's here, get the fire extinguisher." Sometimes stupid things keep coming back to haunt you. But my favorite is the coffee machine incident. See, I had a coffee machine that made 10 cups of coffee. For some reason, I had a pot that only held 5 cups. But I'm an engineer, I know how to handle this. I filled the pot up with 5 cups of water and I poured it in the machine. Then I filled it up again with 5 cups of water and I poured it in the machine. I put the pot in the machine, I pressed the button, and I watched and waited. Now I have to tell you, for the first 5 cups of coffee, everything was fine. But it was when that 6th cup could not fit in the pot, started bubbling over onto the counter, onto the floor, that I knew something was wrong. Now, I was in this tricky situation. It was dangerous. I was standing in a puddle of water, tugging at an electrical cord. And I could just see the headlines. "Idiot electrocutes himself with his own coffee machine." But what really annoyed me is that I felt bad enough I made a stupid mistake, but now I have to clean it up. I have a mess on the counter, on the floor. I don't suffer fools gladly, especially when I'm the fool. So I had to clean it all up, and it was so frustrating. I mean, I was like, ah! But afterwards, you just have to laugh. It's actually a matter of survival. Now, that's a big statement, so why do I say that? Have you ever heard of Norman Cousins? This is a successful businessman. He's won about 50 honorary doctorate degrees. When he was about 50 years old, he was diagnosed with a degenerative bone disease. He was told this will only get worse. You're going to die in a few months. But first, your bones will fuse. So you have to decide if you want to spend the rest of your days sitting down or lying down. He said, I'll be standing. They said, you are dying. He said, no, I'm not. They said, listen to me. You don't understand. He said, no, you listen. You don't understand. I'm not dying. The doctor prescribed 40, 50 pills a day. He said, no, I'm switching to vitamins. And by the way, I'm checking out of this hospital. The hospital is no place for a sick man to get well. They thought he was crazy. The doctor said, what are you going to do for that constant pain? He said, I'm going to use the most powerful drug I can think of. Laughter. He watched the Marx Brothers movies continuously. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Marx Brothers are, all you need to know is this. They saved the man's life. He said 10 minutes of belly laughs gave him 2 hours of pain-free sleep. He lived 30 more years. He died at the age of 80. And his legacy, his motto, laughter is the best medicine. Now this brings me to Michael J. Fox. This is a young kid, Canadian-American actor, great comedian. He was in 2 extremely successful TV shows. And he was in the Back to the Future movies. He was such a physical comedian. His body was his instrument. The way he used his body, his face, his voice, it all came together naturally. Except for all of a sudden when it didn't. At the age of 29, he developed Parkinson's disease. All of a sudden, his body started to fail him. It wouldn't do the simple things he asked it to do. He would drop things, break things. Now, I think for most people, this is an extremely sad story, except for one thing. He didn't get depressed. He didn't get angry. He thought this was hilarious. When he dropped something, when he broke something, he laughed out loud. His humor sustained him. 30 years later, he's still going strong. He even does some acting. Now this brings me to Robin Williams. He was an amazing comedian. He was in 2 great movies, Dead Poets Society and Good Morning Vietnam. But over time, he wanted to do things that were more serious. He even got an Academy Award. But perhaps he got a little too serious. He got very depressed, seriously depressed, and committed suicide. Now, what can we learn from all this? Well, I think there's a message here that's simple yet profound. A sense of humor is a critical component for life. It's an essential ingredient, even for survival. So I ask you to remember as you go about your day, make sure you find time to laugh. Remember the legacy, the motto of Norman Cousins. Laughter is the best medicine. It's as simple as that. Laughter is the best medicine. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have to make sure I pull my zipper open before I leave the stage. Yes?